Hey, Muffin here. So I have a subscriber request to do an alternate history, a battle for London. Now, the Battle for London was a battle that was supposed to happen on ground during World War II, but it was mainly an air fight because the Germans wanted to take out the British airfields to help protect their land units from when they did attack the UK or England, but didn't happen because the British during World War II were able to conquer the skies, being able to keep that while the Germans lost a lot of their planes during that time. And one really big disadvantage the Germans had during World War II is while the Germans were fighting in the air, they were fighting over UK or England territory. And when the German planes got shot down, their pilots survived, they would be taken as prisoner. Whereas if any of the British pilots were shot down, they would just get back in a plane if they were okay, and then get back up and start fighting again. So there was obviously a big disadvantage there historically. Now, we're not necessarily talking about planes or what happened. This is just kind of an alternate reality, alternate history of a World of Tanks Blitz version of the Battle for London. Now, the two maps that I decided to choose for this was Himmelsdorf and New Bay. Himmelsdorf, the thing about London during that era of World War II is there was a ton of bombing taking place during that time period, which would have looked somewhat like Himmelsdorf, especially during if the Germans were to have gotten to some sort of ground invasion or attack with their tanks and so forth. So that's kind of what is trying to be portrayed here in a way. And the next one is New Bay, which obviously both very city-ish. So I thought those ones would be a good fit for this battle. Now, in the first one, the German tanks are definitely taking the cake here. This Black Prince, honestly, those things are quite lethal. Did not, as a Tier 6 Tiger 131, I decided to use the Tiger 131 instead of the Tech Tree Tier 7 Tiger, just because the Tiger 131 is much more historically accurate than the Tech Tree Tier 7 Tiger. So we're using some of those. Now, try to do as much balancing as we can between tiers, equal sides. Want to give a shout out, thank you to all my subscribers for helping me with these vids, especially the ones that are willing and voluntarily choosing to be some of the lower tier tanks. Now, we have a mix of different tier tanks. This is not your standard, obviously, World of Tanks Blitz game. You have tiers 5 through 9 in these battles, all the way up as low as the Churchill 1, all the way up to the Tortoise, using some historically accurate as much as we could kind of for this time period, and then also just for some balancing as well. So far the British tanks are kind of pinned, and during these challenges, these videos we do, I try to get as many or give as many people as I can a turn. So we're always switching players, doing different things, so it's not stagnant. It's somewhat new, or try to be fresh each time. Now, the British tanks here are falling apart. Things are not looking too good. But what I was going to say about the Black Prince tank, that is a tank you do not want to get in the front of. It's got a crazy DPM. And in that one battle when I was the Tiger 131, or that first one, I wanted to be really careful because that thing would have just ripped me apart. So unfortunately, Germany quite easily took England here in the second round. We're going to change it up and go to New Bay, some different players. Germans aggressively pushing. I typically give my subscribers the airtime as much as possible, but I'll step in and play just if maybe we're lacking a tank or so, but I definitely want my subscribers to have the most fun with this. Great little cross shot there on the Firefly, pushing the bridge here. Now it's a very well protected, he's in a good position for that Centurion. German tanks trying to take any side shots they can. Does not leave me in a good position here. I'm going to try to flank and go from another side. We have a good advance pushing up on the bridge. Some even saying the bridge looks like London Bridge. And at this point, the British tanks are falling apart again, which honestly, I think the British tanks are really good. They're down 3 and things are not looking good for the British. So the next round, if the Germans take this, I know what the results are, being this is a replay. If the Germans do win, which be kind of sad if they didn't, but in the next round, we're going to now drop 1 German tank. It's not going to be the tier 5. We're going to take out one of the higher tier ones. Do one more, last one on New Bay to see if England, with 1 less German tank, could hold England. So very, very surprising. Even with the filtering of new players and different games, I was very, very surprised to see the German tanks almost dominate all 3 rounds. I do these nation versus nation vids every once in a while, where it's like China versus Russia and their lines of tanks and whatnot. I may need to do the British Hesh versus German engineering and see if the British, see if Britain can get their revenge, because this one so far has been a total annihilation. And I think the British are going to need that chance. I haven't done Britain versus Germany yet in their tanks, nation versus nation challenge, so that one may be coming up. Getting a good push up here on the bridge. Germans have the high ground. Once again, do not want to get in front of that Black Prince. We'll just get absolutely ripped apart. That Yag Tiger, very, very lethal with its DPM as well. Trading quite a bit of shots up here on the bridge. I totally forgot they could shoot through the side there and get me, but great shot by the enemy team there. Now the score is even. Well, now it is, I should say. Things not looking too good for the Yag Tiger. Gets a shot off just before it dies. A J Panther trying to angle its armor. Doing a pretty good job. It's got some pretty good armor, but facing the tortoise. And wow, what a shot. Things are not looking too good here. For the German team. Tiger 2 has himself in a bit of a sticky situation. And I know Garen, he's a good player, so I think this might have just been just a bad time for him. And lastly, the Panther is left. So great game from all subscribers who had helped. The British were able to hold London there on the last round. So anyway, this is the Muffin here. Hopefully you enjoyed. You guys stay cool and keep tanking.